What we do here is go back.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome to episode 52 of the Lost Media Podcast. Yesterday, we are talking about the other show to be cancelled during its broadcast, during episode 1 of what was meant to be a series this time. The previous show I talked about, Australia's Naughtiest home videos, was meant to be a one-off special. It wasn't actually meant to be a TV show. This was meant to be a TV show. And I did put in the title of my other video recently, the only show in history to be cancelled during episode 1. What I meant by that is it's actually the only show in history not to be aired in full originally. It was re-aired several years later. This show was aired in full in some parts of the US and was cancelled in the middle of the episode in other parts of the US, and 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, and other parts of the US just flat out refused to air it. It was just this chain ball effect across different stations, across different local affiliate stations to ABC. And the show I'm talking about today is Turn On. Turn On was one of the most amazing experimental pieces of television history that was so ridiculously far ahead of its time. This was 1969 this show came out. You watch it now and it looks like something straight out of the early 2000s or the mid 2000s on Adult Swim or MTV or some weird experimental project on one of those channels. This was a stupid amount of years ahead of its time. Even by watching the promos and them talking about the show in third person, the characters, you just feel like it shouldn't. You just feel like it's not from 1969. Like it's not actually from that time period. That's how ahead of its time this show is. It featured a lot of controversial things in its first episode. There are a lot of controversial things from its second episode, but what kind of got it cancelled were a few very raunchy jokes. Now, I should reiterate what the general gist of this show was. It was filmed in sort of a white sphere kind of studio. I don't actually know how to describe it because the way that the guy who ran the show described it was confusing enough. But it's filmed in this very state-of-the-art sort of studio that allowed basically someone to be 10 feet in front of a person and then 10 feet behind that person, and it looked like they're like right next to each other. That's basically the way he described it. I have no idea how that works, but it's filmed in this, this white sort of orb studio that's just obviously, again, ahead of its time. And the ahead of its time things do not stop because this was used with synthesizing technology, and the whole show was made on a computer. And the synthesizing technology, the guy revealed, was later used in a lot of television shows and for a lot of musical artists in the 21st century. And they're testing it in 1969 for this TV show. There is it's kind of the equivalent to the Back to the Future scene. I'm quoting it again. I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are going to love it. That's literally what this is. It's like you got in the DeLorean and went back to 1969 and you made your own TV show with what you know in the future. That's literally what this is. And it's, how many times can I say that's literally what this is? 3. It's very, very fascinating. I'm going to talk about how these episodes can be found and where they are in a moment, because there is actually a way you can see these. They're at a location, but there's only 2 of them. When it comes to being online, there's only clips. It's mostly lost. This show is not partially found. It's mostly lost. There's only a few little clips. What got this show cancelled when it first aired, presumably, is a sequence they did. They tried a lot of things in this episode. There's a lot of different clips, but there's a sequence where this woman is at a vending machine and she's bashing it. And you're thinking, why is she bashing this vending machine? And then it zooms in and she's trying to get the pill. So the joke is she's sexually frustrated and she's just trying to get the pill from a vending machine. And it's like, get out of there. And she's trying to shake the vending machine to get it out. Very funny. But they deemed it offensive, the network, and they didn't understand. They thought, a sexually frustrated female character? Then no, that doesn't exist. Also, this is offensive. No, we don't like it. ABC in 1969. It's open to interpretation who finds this stuff offensive. And I think pushing the boundaries is great, and it has its place in all sorts of media these days. But back in 1969, it didn't have its place. People just didn't understand what they were going for. It was very off the wall. I think the main problem was the show was just, it appealed to nobody back then. Like nobody wanted this. I think there were a lot of people who did, but people were used to their cookie cutter shows, especially on a network like ABC. And I should make the point that everyone back then wanted a certain sitcom. I forgot what it was called, something Groves, that is very unknown now. But everyone wanted this sitcom to stay on the air. And it featured in this time slot that Turn On was on every single week. And everyone loved it. And you look at that sitcom, and unfortunately, I don't know the name of it, so I'm talking about on deaf ears. But basically, the sitcom was the complete opposite of Turn On. Like, it's got nothing to do with Turn On and what they were going with the style for there. So to put something completely different in the same time slot wasn't a great idea. Apparently, according to the show's creator, George Schlatter, I think his name is, that might be the show's developer. I'm not really sure. Guys, you can correct me in the comments. There is a lot to cover on this. I'm trying to do it without notes. Literally no notes in front of me right now. He said that there was one idiot in Chicago, or one of the cities that was doing affiliates for ABC, who basically called in all the other affiliates and said, do not air this on your station. It will ruin your station. It is a disaster show. Cut this off the air right now during its broadcast. So by the time he's done this, the show is fully aired in some parts of the US, in some affiliates. But he was the first to kind of start this chain ball effect of getting it cancelled. And then it actually had a good effect, the show's creator said, because every other network followed suit during the show's airing and was like, cut. 15 minutes during its broadcast, a lot of them were cut. So you're halfway through watching it and no, it stops watching. It didn't have... Well, the thing about this show is it had a much more iconic ending to Australia's Naughtiest Home Videos. If you don't remember from that video, there was the channel's ident and then a voiceover saying, we apologize for this interruption. Unfortunately, due to a technical problem, we can't continue this program. In the meantime, we bring you a brief alternative program. That's the short of it. For Turn On, a guy literally comes in front of the camera on the screen and says, the following program you are currently watching will not be seen tonight or ever. We bring you another program. If you thought Australia's Naughtiest Videos had a meme interruption, this one had a meme interruption. I don't think that will ever be found. I don't think anyone has recordings of that, or the station has recordings of that guy coming on halfway through Turn On and saying, this will never be found ever. That is officially lost media that no one will ever see. The guy's going off memory from what he remembers that one affiliate did. I just realized I made another annoying noise. Sorry for the audio listeners with my mouth. You're never going to be able to discover that piece of media. It's just forget about it, guys. 1969, a local affiliate station, only one of them that was beaming to only a few million or a couple million people. No one had video recording software back then or technology. There was no VCRs back then, or very few people had them. So I don't think the station has that on record. I don't think anyone has that, which is a shame. That's one of the more prominent pieces of lost media. It's more meme-worthy than Australia's Naughtiest Home Videos. That is crazy that actually happened. My God. I want to talk about other aspects of this show. You got the Ku Klux Klan all dressed up in a group in this white studio. You got a guy standing there and saying, she told me it was wonderful. No, I gave her the big one. And she told me it was wonderful. Something along those lines. I've seen it so many times and I can't quote what this guy said verbatim. It's just genuinely designed to shock. That's the idea. But it's off the wall. It's a really innovative show. It's made for an audience that just wasn't ready for that yet. That just wasn't there. And it's ABC. It's not the right network. To really put it in perspective, what was airing, if you look at the lineup of that night, there's a general sitcom that's like adventure style. Then there's Turn On. And then there's the movie of the week, which was like Julius Caesar or something. Or, some some movie of the 1960s that was just like a historical sort of piece. Um, it's weird to watch. It's very, very strange to see to see the lineup they had going. Uh yeah. There is I'm gonna talk about where this can be found. I've actually forgotten the place. I've got it right here if I just open my phone where this can be found. It's located in the Paley Center for Media, which I believe is in New York City, USA. If you go there, you can view episodes 1 and 2 of Turn On in full. So go there and record it with your phone. If you can sneak your phone in somehow and just sneakily record it, go there and film episodes 1 and 2 of Turn On, and or maybe inquire with them if they can release it one day online, because all we've got is clips. We'd love to see more clips. I believe there are more episodes than just 2 of Turn On that were made, but they're lost. They're lost. And the guy, I think it's George Shatler, or George Slaughter, or whatever his name is. Whatever his name is, guys. I don't need to be factual on this show. Ridiculous. I believe he says that there's a lot of it, and he says that, he believed it was a really good show. He believes it was like really brilliant, and there was more than those 2 episodes. So just that first episode, when that went to air, didn't work out. That's the discrepancy. That's why I wrote in the title, the only show ever to be cancelled during episode 1 for Australia's Naughtiest Home Videos, because it's the only show to be cancelled during episode 1 and never get a full broadcast when it was aired in the world, in television history. This also fits in that category, but as I said, it did get a full airing in some parts of the US. That is confirmed. I'm not bullshitting there. It definitely aired in full in some parts, this first episode. So it doesn't. Naughtiest Home Videos just has it won on that category. The title of this video will probably be somewhat similar to the title of that video, so it will confuse people, but that's just the discrepancy there. It's this really unique piece of lost media. It's this really unique piece of television history. I'm fascinated in shows that were cancelled mid-broadcast, because I'm just like, how does that even happen? It's only happened twice, to my knowledge, in the history of television. There are other things that there are broadcasts that have been delayed, and some crazy things that have happened on television that aren't lost media. There's a comedian that had a heart attack on stage, and they had to delay the broadcast for quite a while, or extended commercial break. Sorry, just had another stupid mouth noise in the mic. Yeah. Crazy stuff. That happens, by the way, guys, when I'm just talking a lot. The saliva's trying to make up for all my talking, and you get all these annoying noises in the mic. I apologize. Podcasts are not easy to do by yourself. I can tell you that right now, especially when there's a lot of information you got to remember for this one in particular. There's still different details of Turn On that I'm trying to recollect in my memory, and I'm sure there's things that I researched about this show that I won't be able to remember off the top of my head. It's a unique piece of television history. It was time to turn on, but everyone unfortunately turned off, which is very disappointing. I'm disappointed in you guys, 1969. I'm disappointed in that year. I'm disappointed in you. The same year men landed on man first landed on the moon. Oh, it's a tongue twister. Amazing. Very innovative year in human history. Turn On was part of that. So well done, Turn On. Congratulations. You deserve your place in television history. There is an argument that the show looks like it was a terrible television show. And is just not great. There was actually another segment on the show that went under fire, literally, that was also apparently part of the show's cancellation. And because the show was made by a lot of apparently UCLA students, just a lot of college students who were learning cinematography, were just given cameras and allowed to do whichever segments they wanted. There was a back and forth, Looney Tunes style segment where one person's throwing a little bomb to another person, that blows up, and that person gets angry and throws a bigger bomb to the other person, and that blows up next to them, and they're just like, oh, and then it just gets worse and worse until eventually the world blows up and it zooms out. Some sort of Roadrunner type sketch, or Looney Tunes, Donald Duck, Bugs Bunny, fire! In 1969, though, the Vietnam War was still on, so not allowed. It's crazy. It's crazy how the comedy, this basic shit is just not allowed and the show just gets cancelled. It's incredible. Yeah. There's also a clip I should mention of I think a topless woman getting painted, which is really nothing, but I think it just serves to demonstrate how the show was trying to push the boundaries of what was allowed. But I do believe it's only those two segments I mentioned, the bomb segment and the woman trying to get the pill out of the vending machine bit. But you can tell the show's all one bit. You can tell it's all one, massive gag because it's all in that white studio. Every single bit from it is in that white studio. That's the joke. The Ku Klux Klan bit, I was like, bruh. And, that's where they're going for it. They're really going for it with Turn On. What can I say? That's pretty much all there is to it, guys. I think I've covered almost all bases. If there's something I missed, I'll put it in the comments or in the description, probably the description. If there's something I remember to do with this show that I believe to be important, check out the description. There is detail. There is a few clips in there from Turn On that have been playing behind me. If I forgot to include a couple, just type up Turn On 1969 in Google. There's as many. There's still stuff being released about it. There's a lot more clips now than there were a few years ago. There was only one clip from it a few years ago. So very, very cool. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's the episode for today. I've got another episode coming out. I believe this is episode 52 of the Lost Media Podcast. Thanks for watching. The end. Goodbye. Cheers for your support as well, guys. I really appreciate it. A bird just landed there.